Hey, Chris Jenkins, credentialed member of the media, covering the Carolina Panthers for Charlotte Vibe, aka Man of the People. Love working for fans of the Carolina Panthers. And I'm going to tell you something at the beginning of this video since I have your attention. Next week, I get back to doing my one-on-one interviews. Got one person in mind that I really want to do, but I need to have an alternate. So, Man of the People, coming straight to you to ask, who do you want me to interview next week? Bryce Young, Brian Burns, I don't know. I'm just throwing out a few names, but leave your comments. Please leave your comments on who you want me to interview next week. And also, if you have a question for that person that you would like for me to interview, leave that too. So leave the person and the question. I'm going to be working to set that up for you and bring you that next week, earning my title, Man of the People. Also, we've been getting closer and closer to that 10,000 subscriber mark. Please go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. Hit the like button if you already have. Helps other Carolina Panther fans find out, about the channel. So as you saw from the title, we have made a few more transactions, getting closer to that 16-man max that we can have on the practice squad. Obviously, we have our 53, and now it's just filling out the rest of the practice squad, which again can go up to 16. We had 11 yesterday. Few transactions today I'm going to go over, so I make sure that you guys each day are at least up to date on the latest movement on this Carolina Panthers team as we prepare for that season opener against the Atlanta Falcons, which we'll be covering. Have our full staff down there. Myself, Andre, the co-host, and Patrick, our photographer, will be there. Bring you lots of content as the Carolina Panthers open the season down there in Atlanta. Let me give a few shout outs. Supernova. What's going on? Appreciate the salute. Thank you very much. Chris Johnson. Appreciate just tuning in. And here we are. Here we are. I knew this was going to come up. Donald Duck, we're going to get back to you on your comments. So let me go ahead and get into these transactions for the Carolina Panthers today. Tight end Stephen Sullivan. He was placed on injured reserve. So what that means for Sullivan, one thing is, everybody was, hey, we're keeping a lot of tight ends. Okay, well, temporarily we have more time to keep all of those tight ends because one of them, Stephen Sullivan, has been placed on IR, which means he will be out at least 4 weeks. Stephen Sullivan will be out 4 weeks, our tight end. So a few other transactions. These names should look very, very familiar to you. Wide receiver Derek Wright and linebacker Chandler Wooten. Both were just waived the other day from our 53-man roster to make room for some transactions. Those two return to the team. Again, wide receiver Derek Wright, linebacker Chandler Wooten. So it's one person that was also on that list yesterday, which you do not see today, would have been Matt Corral, quarterback that was drafted last year by the Carolina Panthers. We traded up to get him. I'm sure a lot of people, whether or not you thought this guy was going to be a starter for us or not, are just a little bit sad by the story that this guy faced, right? He comes, we're hopeful because we have Sam Darnold, we have Baker Mayfield, we have PJ Walker, we have all these like mixing solutions that we're trying to just patch things through. And we're thinking, well, maybe Matt Corral could be that guy. And mechanically, he looked good the way he threw the ball, et cetera. And he goes and has an injury in the preseason. Doesn't play at all any last year. And then I think pretty much not the writing was on the wall, but the possibilities of him being an impactful player and being in Carolina any substantial time was predicated when we drafted Bryce Young. So nevertheless, where I'm going with this is Matt Corral was waived yesterday. He did not clear waivers. He was picked up by the New England Patriots, a team that actually, ironically, was involved in the trade that we did to move up to get Matt Corral. Well, they now have Matt Corral, and we do not. And Sarah, Carolina Panthers and Scott Fitterer today basically saying their job in building this roster this year was not to say, hey, let's get rid of all the Matt Rule guys. He said he had some claim in it. He said, we're in it together. And you have to say, yes, they were in it together because, I know there were some different dynamics on how the coach and GM role played previously, but Scott was a part of that, right? So he made an emphasis to say we're in this together a little bit in terms of the Matt Rule thing, and that what they're doing is just simply trying to have the best 53 guys on the roster, the best 53 guys. And Matt just wasn't a part of that. They want to have him back on the practice squad, wasn't able to clear the waivers and make it. So with that said, let me now go ahead and put up my man Donald Duck's comment here, which is he's upset. Golden Corral got waived. If Bill saw something in him, it just makes me question the development of this coaching staff. So I like that comment, Donald Duck. And I thought about it this way. For me, I wasn't so confident that Matt Corral had enough tape to get picked up by another team. To me, he did not have any kind of standout preseason, even with all the attempts that he had. He just looked just not completely there. Now, you know, if you watch the mechanics, yeah, they look great, but then the decision-making and the accuracy in which he was throwing the ball wasn't anything to say, oh, that's pretty good. It was a lot of times off. So I feel like the pickup with Matt is more about the coaching staff saying, hey, and the opportunity within that team, right? He's still not going to be a pivotal part of this Carolina Panthers team. You know, Andy Dalton's that backup guy, which they feel pretty confident in. So Matt is going to just be this, you know, this project. And you don't want to have a project that's not a first-round pick taking up a roster spot versus New England. They're in a different situation. And New England, they can give him significant time, and he can be the number 2. And they probably say, hey, we got some faith in our coaching staff that with the things that we see that he's not doing right, that we could work with him to improve those things and get him to where he's a valuable asset that's obviously, in the case of New England, worth a 53-man roster spot. Again, on New England, he's number 2. With Carolina, he would have been number 3. So that's my take. Appreciate you, Donald Duck. I feel your pain there. And Matt being gone, he was a guy that I actually talked with quite a bit last year. But nevertheless, let's keep on going through these comments. Slideshow says, how about an interview with a new wide receiver from Kansas City or some waiver wire pickup guys? Okay, not some bad guys. Again, if you come up with a specific guy and a question, let me know. As I'm going to be setting that up with the team to do next week, but I'm going to set it up. I need to start setting that up now. So any feedback that you all have so I can be man of the people serving, let me know. I agree with the side show. He's happy for Matt Corral. He deserves a good shot at being a starter. Yes, he does. All right, so let me go ahead and get into... Hold on. I'm going to make a change on the text, and I'm going to do it in real time. And I want to get you guys feedback on this. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can bring this back up really quickly. If not, we'll just continue to move along. Let's see. I'm probably not going to quickly find it, so I just may have to come back to it. Nope, I found it. Here we go. Getting close, getting close. All right, let's see here. We're going to try to do this right here. What do you all think of that different color graphic for the comments that are down on the screen? Do you like that color, or do you like the previous color? So leave it in the comments what you like, and I'll address it accordingly. But he's happy for Corral. He deserves a good shot at being a starter somewhere. I'm sorry, I already read that one. So Terrence Jones, what's the deal with Burns and his contract? So Brian Burns is under contract, but Brian Burns wants a new contract. Brian Burns was at the facilities today, but he did not practice today. Coach Wright said that it was a matter of a personal matter with Brian as to why he didn't practice today. further asked, was it related to his contract? And he said, I can't answer that. I respect Brian Burns. And if it's contract stuff, it's not my position to talk about that anyway. So you can certainly say there's something starting to happen there. I know Brian Burns has been very vocal about, hey, he's going to be with his guys. He sees the value of being here. He sees the possibilities with his team. And I think I saw on Twitter basically some people saying like they don't feel like Brian Burns is that type of guy that would just go and sit out or start doing these types of things. And he may not be that type of guy, but Brian Burns has an agent, and his agent's job is to get Brian the most money possible, right? And there could have been some conversations with the agent saying, okay, Brian, I know you really want to be there and you really want to continue to practice because you think this could be something special, but we need to apply pressure. We want the contract signed before the start of the first game. So maybe, and this is just me thinking, maybe instead of missing, you're going, but you're not practicing because I don't want you to get hurt. And let's try to get some leverage. So there's something obviously going on there in the way that Coach Frank Wright responded to it. And then also for me, I saw, Brian tweeted about, let me see if I can just pull it up so I can speak accurately for everybody. So yesterday, Brian Burns tweeted in response to, losing the name. Greg Olsen was on a radio talk show, and he mentioned that he was able to catch up with Aaron Rodgers. And during that time, he said, Aaron Rodgers said, Brian Burns is a bit different. And Brian Burns retweeted that saying, means a lot, for real, 100% from the GOAT. So he also, if you watch Hard Knocks, Aaron Rodgers said to him about, he deserves to get paid. He says something to Brian at the end of the game as the players are handshaking. So could be some things brewing, right? So all I can do is report to you what I know, let you deal with it what you wish. But I think something's going on. What's on Tim Estes? Appreciate you tuning in. I think I like the black better than the blue, especially when I'm doing the blue. I think when I have the let's try to change the colors. I probably shouldn't try to do too much adjustments during live television, right? It's probably not the best thing to do, so I'm going to stop clowning around. We'll keep it blue for now, but leave your comments. A few more that we'll go over. Did they ever try to trade Corral? I never heard that they tried to trade him. I just don't feel like there was any trade. Number one, when you try to trade him at the beginning of the season when a lot of transactions are going on at the very beginning, well, he has no tape. He's a guy that played I think it might have been 2 preseason games last year, and then he's hurt, and you don't see him anymore. And he didn't play the first preseason game. No, I'm sorry, he did start playing in the preseason. But he just didn't have a lot of tape to begin with. And so it took, 3 preseason games for teams to say, like, okay, we've seen him enough, and now we can evaluate what we can or cannot do with him. Appreciate the question there, sir. All right, so that'll take us through everything for tonight. The Carolina Panthers will be out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Return to practice on Labor Day. They'll be back to practice on Monday. So continue to subscribe, continue to turn on your bell notifications. I still owe you all a more detailed report on this roster. Thinking that might happen during the week next week because we still have, I might do it this weekend. We still have 3 more positions to fill on the practice squad. Scott Fitterer said that this roster should be a little fluid through Sunday anyway. So I'll also just defer back to you all. Let me know, do you want me to wait until the full practice squad is set before we dive a little bit deeper into the roster breakdown, or do you want it sooner over the weekend? Let me know. Appreciate the comments. Oh, we got a few on the blue. So I got two blue things going on. I know you guys like the blue in the background, so I put that back in the background, but I also have blue in the comments. To me, I don't know, I want a little bit of contrast there, but so when you comment on the blue, let me know if you're talking about the blue background on the wall or the blue in the comment. Let me know. Nevertheless, appreciate everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Chris Jenkins reporting for Charlotte Vibe.